Hello, social media friends. It is Jeremy Rowland, and it is July the 27th, 2026, on a steamy, hot, sunny day, not a cloud in the sky, here in the great state of Arkansas. And this is Driveway with Jeremy, where I go and I talk to you about sports and what it teaches us about life from the driveway of my home. And today, believe it or not, we're going to talk some wrestling. All right, some wrestling. Now, when I was a kid, I used to be a huge wrestling fan. You know, I can remember my grandfather having it on like a $3,000 big screen TV that you had to sit in the dead center of to actually see, and it weighed a ton, took half the neighborhood to get it in the house. You know, those were what I call the glory days of wrestling with the WWF, and then everybody knows the transition after that. I'm not much of a fan now. I mean, I don't watch it hardly at all, if any, but I made a mistake yesterday. I got into a chat conversation about the greatest tag team of all time in wrestling. And there was a lot of good choices from some people that was in this sports chat thing that I'm a part of. You know, it's a lot of fun sometimes on downtime where you can get into discussions about all types of things of sports, you know, the go to basketball, golf, all these things. You know, it's just a bunch of respectful difference of opinions most of the time. So it eventually led to, well, just put on the spot, who's your top 5 tag team? And I'm gonna tell you what this teaches us about life here in just a second, because we try to keep Driveway with Jeremy under 5 minutes. But it eventually ran around to go ahead and give us your top 5. So I'm going to give you my 5 best wrestling tag teams of all time, and you can let me know in the comments on how I did. Now I'm going to start with number 5. It was the Hart Foundation. Okay, they wore pink. It was all one suit. Bret Hart, and you know, I just felt like that in their days of the WWF that they could be considered one of the best tag teams of all time. Number 4. I couldn't decide between the two, so I just went with the Von Erichs from back in the day, because, you know, they were super popular in Texas. Could have been a lot huger than they were, but tragedy struck the family. 4 was tied with me between them and the British Bulldogs. I just felt like that those two kind of had some comparisons, you know, British American, Davey the Bulldog. I just put those two in 4. Now, number 3 was a no-brainer for me. It was the Rock and Roll Express. Everybody can remember those coming out in the NWA days, and they had the strap T-shirts tied to their arms and the blonde hair, and I mean, they just had a whole lot of fun with that. Now, number 2 was a surprise to many people, but Michael Hayes and the Freebirds. I don't know if you know who Michael Hayes was, but he had this gigantic white, before Ric Flair, white hair, big old tan, just hair all over him everywhere. He wore jeans with them tucked in his boots, and just had this nostalgia about him, and they played the music, and he just come out and he just kind of demanded the room. But the Freebirds were actually a really good tag team. Now, there's no doubt, and this was consensual through many, many, many people, that the number 1 tag team of all time in wrestling is, oh, what a rush, the Legion of Doom. That's right, the Legion of Doom with Hawk and Animal. They would put people up on their shoulders. One would jump off the top rope, take the other one's, you know, I can't say the word because it's social media, it takes it almost clean off. And these people just flopped over. And a lot of people are like, you know, wrestling is so fake and stuff like that. It still takes a lot of athletic effort and strength and agility to be able to do those things. But the Legion of Doom was my number 1 tag team of all time. Now, what does this teach us about life? Wrestlers were on the road 300 days out of the year. They traveled, they eat together, they drank together, they partied together, they did matches and all these things together. And what it teaches us about life is the same thing, that you have to make a choice. If you make a choice to have a life partner, it matters that you make the right one. because you need a ride or die. You have to have a ride or die. Someone that's with you when you're down, somebody that's with you when you're up, and you can be the same way. And that's what wrestling teaches us, and tag team wrestling teaches us about life. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay cool, enjoy life, and I will see you tomorrow for another Driveway with Jeremy.